Hey everyone, this is graphic designer Roberto Blake, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how you put together your graphic design portfolio in terms of your portfolio website. So most of you know that today you absolutely have to have a website portfolio as a graphic designer. There are a lot of different approaches you can take to having a portfolio website, but the best one is always going to be to have one with your own domain name, whether that's your whole name or your name slash graphic designer or what have you. However you approach the domain, just make sure that's something that stands out and incorporates preferably your name in it rather than something else. If you're a freelancer and you've branded yourself under a company name, then maybe you do want to utilize that. But if you're working as a freelancer or independent contractor or someone who's looking for graphic design work with an ad agency, a studio, or to become an in-house designer, the most professional thing you can do is to try to find your name or something very close to your name and use that as your domain URL. So once you've done that, you want to actually establish the website. And there's a couple of different things you can do for that. You could just get a domain name and you could point it at some other service that you have. Like maybe you have a Behance Pro site, you can definitely do that. But if you can't find another way to do it, like using something like Squarespace or going ahead and building it yourself from scratch and then hosting it somewhere with Dreamweaver or Muse, then that definitely is an option for you. Sites like Squarespace, and there's a lot of other ones out there, Wix, etc. They all have these templates that will help you build and organize a portfolio without having to learn code. And that's something you can definitely do if you're not a web designer. And if you're not trying to show off your ability to hand code or do anything like that, then maybe that's the direction you go in. But there are some caveats that you don't necessarily get absolute control over how it looks. You may not get absolute control over how it presents, but maybe that's okay and maybe you can live with that. The important thing is to make sure that it's branded in such a way that it's consistent with your business cards, it's consistent with your PDF portfolio, it's consistent with your print portfolio. You want to show that you can understand how to unify all these elements and have them feel like they have, an overall connectedness. One of the things that I pay close attention to is trying to keep the font faces similar across all of these different mediums, and that can be challenging sometimes, but there are ways you can handle that, and it's something that you should consider from the outset when you're deciding which fonts you want to use in all of your branded materials. So if you're going to build your website from scratch, you can do that a lot of ways. You can hand code in Notepad++. I hand code in Adobe Dreamweaver just because that helps me be faster, quicker, more organized. There's a lot of shortcuts that I've memorized for that. I have a library of code snippets that I use that I built myself so that I can copy and paste in for very specific tasks, like when I want to create these specific divs that I made for showcasing the artwork in a certain way. So again, things like that. Adobe Muse is really handy. And the thing is, if you're just trying to show off your work, there's nothing wrong with buying a template from somewhere and just utilizing that, because the main thing is, if you're not a web designer, if you're just a graphic designer who does print, or you're a generalist or what have you, the most important thing is to just showcase the work appropriately. It's not about the website, it's not about having cool functionality, it's about simplicity. In fact, you want to take out as many of the bells and whistles from this website as possible, because you have to think about who your audience is. Your audience is going to be people who need a graphic designer or need a web designer, not people who are very design savvy themselves aside from knowing what they like and are not very technically savvy per se. They might be, but the odds are they won't. The odds are that they're possibly, if they're in a hiring position over you, they're going to be more experienced. They may be used to using modern websites, they may not. So you want to make as little work for them as possible. You want to eliminate the number of clicks that they have to go through to get to things. If you look at my website, robertoblake.com, you can get to anything that you really need to with just one click. You can find out about a specific skill or skill set that I have in one click. You can get to my body of work without even actually clicking. You can scroll down the page and you get samples of my work just right off the bat, or you can click through to the type of samples that you want very easily. You can click one click and you get a download of my PDF portfolio. You don't even have to click anything to be able to contact me, because all the contact information is right there and it's consistently on every page right there at the top, so you have the ability to contact me. That's something that I did on purpose. So again, and if you're viewing this in the future and you're looking at some new version of my website, then there's a possibility that it may have had some changes, but most of what I'm talking about is probably going to be consistent because that's the type of approach that I would just generally use. So if you're watching this a year from now or 2 years from now, yeah, I probably changed my website a little, but I probably didn't do anything super dramatic, or if I did, it's probably still in line with what I'm talking about right now. In terms of your website layout, try to keep it as simple as possible. Utilize white space to your advantage. Do show off the work, make it the hero. Try to talk about your work a little bit in the website. Some people, and I'm kind of one of these myself, they like the work to speak for itself, and sometimes it can if it's supposed to be stuff like photo manipulation, like one of the things I specialize in. But in other cases, you will need to talk about and elaborate on the work so that they have an understanding of it because they may not know what you did or what you're responsible for, just like with your print portfolio. So make sure that you have some kind of body copy or at least some kind of title or headline, maybe a description that talks a little bit about the work. If you're not going to do that in the immediate presentation, then provide some way for them to click through, maybe to a blog and look about the process for how you develop the work, your sketching samples, or the work in progress. So that's definitely something that you can do. Something that's also becoming a little popular is to put videos on your website. I'm actually dabbling in this a little bit on certain specific pages, whether they are video specific or not, because many of you who've been on the channel before know I do Photoshop speed art demonstrations where you can actually see my process for developing work done in the vein of a music video. So on pages like that showcase more of the digital art stuff or the photo manipulation or retouching stuff, I do put on sample videos on those web pages so that people can actually get a feel for the process. They can see that and see the results before and after. So that can be very good. Just make sure that you're doing it very well and you're doing it with high production values and that it's thought out if you're going to do that. If you're going to present the video, never present a crappy video. In general, with your portfolio, you should always be presenting your best work, putting your best foot forward. So make sure you're doing that no matter what the content is. One of the advantages of web portfolios is you can show off a large volume of work. Just be careful about how you do it. If you're going to do that, categorize the work and break it up so that people don't feel frustrated or don't feel overwhelmed with it, and also to keep load times on the site low. In the description below, I'm going to have all kinds of links and references for you as far as places that you can get things like web hosting or places where you can go ahead and you can find resources for building a portfolio yourself, templates, things like that. So definitely make sure you check that out. There are going to be some corresponding articles that I've already written about some of this stuff that just go into more detail and have links for that. There may or may not be some discount codes, just depending on what it is, that'll help you out with some of the pricing on this stuff. No one wants to break the bank, but again, you do have to invest time, effort, energy, and a little bit of money in your work if you wanted to get attention, be seen by the right people, and create opportunities for you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do have questions about how you develop a website portfolio, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. I'll try and respond back. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other videos in my channel. And as always, thanks for watching.